area. We do need to welcome in our viewers on the KSCW as we continue to track now 2 tornado warnings happening at the present time. Looks like an area that we're looking at back to the south and west of Chase. No confirmation of a tornado with this storm either, but the circulation to me looks like it's about 3 miles to the southeast of Ellenwood. And again, the area of concern with respect to a possible developing tornado would still mostly be contained in Barton County, about 4 miles or so just to the southeast of Ellenwood. That storm will be impacting western sections of Rice County. Again, this is a tornado warning that's just been issued now for eastern sections of Barton County. Does include much of central and western sections of Rice County. Goes about as far north as the Bushton area. Does include some areas along Highway 14, but from a radar presentation, this storm doesn't necessarily look all that impressive with respect to rotation. We certainly don't have any confirmation of a tornado at the moment, but again, if you're in this area west of Lyons, out toward the Chase area, Raymond, if you're south and east of Ellenwood, we do need to remain on guard here as we have radar suggesting that the rotation would be strong enough to keep this tornado warning in place for just a little while longer. So again, what do we have going on at the moment? Well, we've started to see things kind of ramp up. Tornado warning for western Rice County, extreme southeastern Barton County, and southern Ellsworth County. And then we also have that tornado warning up here in southeastern sections of Ottawa County, where we are monitoring for, again, radar presentation suggesting some rotation, but neither one of these tornado warnings at the moment with anything confirmed. Of course, it is dark outside, so those eyewitness accounts that would normally trickle in if it were mid-afternoon or early evening are probably just not going to be there. So at this time of the day, we certainly do rely very heavily on Doppler radar to give us a better sampling of the storm. But that's what's happening right now. The storm west of Lyons, even if it doesn't produce a tornado, certainly looks like it's capable of large hail, and that will likely pass to the northwest of Lyons. If you're from Chase up to Bushton, anywhere here across western sections of Rice County, you should be watching this storm carefully as, again, it is moving on to the northeast. Again, if you're just getting notification, just joining our coverage here, tornado warning for western sections of Rice County, eastern Barton County. Circulation is about ready to cross Highway 56 here west of Chase to the east of Ellenwood. If that radar presentation continues to hold, it looks like areas north of Chase will see that rotation pass overhead. What we're going to do is we do have meteorologist Rodney Price, who is monitoring some storms south and east of Wichita. Rodney, can you go ahead and give us an update on what you're seeing?
Well, Ross, we are right now north of Sedan in Chautauqua County, and we're traveling north on Highway 99 at this point. We followed a storm that greeted us just to the north and west of Ponca City, Oklahoma. And right now, I'm going to turn the camera around here as we've seen quite a bit of cloud to ground lightning off to our north and east. But right now, that storm has weakened considerably and is mostly just outside of the viewing area right now. Again, that was a storm that was severe near Ponca City and near Enid, Oklahoma. Continued to track north and east. We have been seeing still a little bit of cloud-to-ground lightning with it at times, but that has dropped off considerably. Watching with interest, Ross, that storm that is east of El Dorado. It has a severe thunderstorm warning on it that's in effect for about another 45 minutes, until 9:45. So we'll watch that as we're kind of traveling north and see if we see anything additional with that storm as it travels north and east. But right now, for what we're seeing in Chautauqua County, north of Sedan, is a storm weakening, still some cloud-to-ground lightning, but no warning in effect with that storm in Chautauqua or Elk County at this point, Ross.
Thanks very much, Rodney. Again, coming back to the tornado warning that we have in effect for western Rice County, I think we can say with a pretty high level of certainty that this storm west of Chase is not producing a tornado at the moment, but that storm does continue to move northeast, so heads up areas south and west of Geneseo, certainly along 4th Road And again, south and east of Bushton, it does not appear that this storm is going to be much of a threat for the city of Lyons. It will pass well to the northwest of town there, but it is something that we'll continue to check in on. Meanwhile, let's get back up to the tornado warning that's ongoing in the southeast corner of Ottawa County. That storm is moving to the northeast and will eventually clip the northwest corner of Dickinson County. This storm, like the one down in Rice County, neither one of them have confirmation of a tornado, but again, we still have a radar presentation, and I would say of the two storms that we're looking at, this one, the rotation looks a little stronger than the one does back in western sections of Rice County, but both of them are dangerous storms, and this one too likely to be producing some very large hail. That's now east of Bennington. We can give the all clear for those of you in Bennington. No longer need to shelter from a potential developing tornado, but if you're in the Talmadge area, Manchester, and extreme eastern sections of Ottawa County, remain on guard here as the storm does continue to move on to the north and east. Now, Rodney was talking about some other thunderstorms that are happening in and around south central Kansas. I'm going to show those to you right now because we have had some severe thunderstorm warnings off to the east of Wichita, in and around El Dorado, and that thunderstorm that's now east of El Dorado looks like it's still capable of some quarter-size hail, but this storm remains fairly spotty and very isolated east of El Dorado, north of Rosalia, and it does continue to move on to the north and east. We want to stay with you for a little while longer with these two tornado warnings happening at the present time up in central Kansas, one of them north of I-72. Again, we're watching a storm with a tornado warning now for central and western Rice County, extreme eastern Barton County. That Barton County portion of the tornado warning will probably be scaled back here shortly, but you can see from a radar standpoint, this continues to be a pretty intense thunderstorm here now north of Highway 56. It's going to pass north and west of Lyons, so some good news there. And over the last hour, again, the circulation or the appendage is just to the west or getting ready to cross over 4th Road north of Highway 56, and that will likely pass to the north and west of Chase. So this is going to pass kind of in between Bushton and Chase, continuing on that northeasterly path. If it holds together long enough, eventually, we'll be talking about Geneseo, but my thought would be that it would probably stay to the west or southwest of Geneseo, but we're going to have to kind of see the evolution here as it continues on that northeasterly path. As far as the hail is concerned with this storm, it still looks to me like we're at least getting quarter-size hail, maybe up to the size of golf balls. That certainly doesn't suggest anything larger than golf balls, but there is a possibility of hail maybe up to the size of ping pong balls with this particular storm. And again, it's a tornado warning. That's the reason why we're going to continue with our coverage for a little while longer. At this time of the day, the eyewitness accounts, the pictures, the videos, they're just not going to be there because it is going to be very difficult to see exactly what's taking place with this Rice County storm. But again, the rotation, the area that we're looking at right now is just to the west of the Chase area. As far as what kind of distance we're talking about from Chase, we're about 5 miles to the west-northwest of town, and that storm continues to slide on to the north and east. So what I would suggest, those in Geneseo, kind of keep an eye on it because this thing could ramp down very quickly given the overall environmental conditions that are out there tonight. But if you're north of Chase, south of Bushton, we need to keep an eye on it. We do not believe that this storm is producing a confirmed tornado. Otherwise, one might have already suggested that we'd have heard something about that. But it sounds like it is probably just a radar signature, the reason why we're continuing with the tornado warning there. But it does look like the circulation now is getting ready to pass over 4th Road. Let's go ahead and go back up north and check in on the storm that's getting ready to move in on northwestern sections of Dickinson County, where again we do continue with that tornado warning up here. Now it looks like it's been extended over into the northwest section of Dickinson County. Abilene is not included in this new tornado warning that's been issued, but areas up here along Highway 18. And again, what are we looking at here? Well, Bennington's going to be over there just out of view. The circulation to me looks like it's right here on the Ottawa-Dickinson County line, and that continues to move on to the east-northeast. So Talmadge, Manchester areas east of Bennington, right here along Highway 18, that's going to be a favored area for possible development. But again, this tornado warning, like the one back in Rice County, we have not had any kind of confirmation of a tornado from either storm. Let's hope that continues to hold up. But again, time of day is so critical here because those pictures and the eyewitness accounts may or may not be there. given the overall darkness, of course, that we're dealing with right now. Last hour playing through here on radar, just kind of taking a look at this, analyzing with you on air. Looks to me like the circulation now is just about entirely contained in Dickinson County. So these warnings back here in Ottawa County will probably be scaled back here shortly. But again, if you're around Talmadge, there's Fair Road, Camp Road. This is probably going to register with some of you that live in that area. You should be finding a place to ride out this storm as it continues to be a dangerous one. Even again, if we don't get a tornado out of it, there's an ongoing hail threat that's been a little more substantial with this storm up here in Dickinson County. And as we take a look at the estimated hail size, what are we talking about? Potentially up to the size of golf balls with this storm right here along Highway 18. So again, new tornado warning, northwest Dickinson County, but it does not include the Abilene area. We'll definitely not have to worry too much about Abilene being included there. It's going to pass to the northwest of Abilene. Other thunderstorms, as we kind of take a look at what's happening here in north central Kansas, there you can see the appendage that's hanging from this storm back here in the extreme southeast corner of Ottawa County. That's going to continue to work its way right down Highway 18. So anybody that's along Highway 18 south of Manchester, eastern Ottawa County, western sections of Dickinson County, you should be sheltering from this storm. Situations like this, nighttime tornadoes, they do happen, and it can be a little bit more unnerving just again because we can't see exactly what is taking place. One of the products that we can use to see, are we picking up on any kind of debris signature? And I don't see anything like that right there in the southeast corner of Ottawa County. So that would suggest to me that hopefully we don't actually have a tornado happening, but radar again is suggesting that the rotation is strong enough that we'll continue on guard there. Again, along Highway 18, we can give the all clear to Bennington, but if you're east of there, remain sheltered from this storm. You can see the city of Salina right now kind of in the calm. There may still be some gusty winds in and around town, some heavier rainfall to the north of town, but things have kind of started to settle down there. We go back in on this storm down here in western sections of Rice County, and it looks like Barton County, as expected, has now been cleared from the tornado warning, but it is ongoing to the north of Highway 56, and as we told you a little while ago, Lyons, no threat there. This is going to be to the north of Chase and likely south of Bushton. As we go in and bring some more of these county roads, township roads into view, you're going to see Frederick coming into view. That's going to register with some locals in the area, and there you can see the circulation right now is very close to 7th Road. And here's 4th Road, so we're northwest of Chase by a good 5 miles or so, and of course west of Highway 14, Geneseo up here at the top part of your screen. So if there's a tornado with the storm, and we have not received any updates from law enforcement, we've had no confirmation, no eyewitness accounts of a tornado here in western Rice County. It's going to be northwest of Chase, and this storm has been showing some signs of moving on to the north and east. So just taking a little bit further view off to the north, and we'll kind of expand our view. There's Avenue D. You're going to see, of course, we bring Geneseo into view, Highway 4. Over the last hour, the storm does continue to show signs of moving on to the north, northeast. If the storm continues to show that rotating signature right there, it's going to pass most likely east of Bushton and kind of to the west of Geneseo. So kind of in between those two communities there is where we're going to be carefully watching the situation. But a tornado warning there in western sections of Rice County, extreme southern portions of Ellsworth County. That storm again pushing on to the north, northeast. Let's take a look at the statewide view. We have had some thunderstorms kind of scattered all over the place. We've had some south and east of Wichita. We've had some up here in north central Kansas. We still have that thunderstorm off to the east of El Dorado, and then there's some storms in far southeast Kansas. But you can see the 2 tornado warnings that we're tracking at the present time. And again, this is some strong rotation that we're seeing on radar. We've had 0 eyewitness accounts, 0 confirmation of a tornado. This time of the day, we rely heavily on Doppler radar to kind of show us what's happening inside of these storms, and that's why we have these ongoing tornado warnings. If you've never been through this sort of thing before, the best place to seek shelter from a tornado is, of course, getting below ground, if at all possible. If that's not an option to you, certainly closets and bathrooms are good places to be. You want to put as many walls between you and the approaching storm as you can, because each wall is just another layer of protection from something that can be flying around in a possible tornado. Again, we haven't had any confirmation of anything like that. Always a good idea to put on a pair of shoes, be prepared for broken glass, grab a bottle of water if you can. We hope that you're prepared for this sort of thing. It does happen from time to time here in Kansas, but we are laser focused on northwest Dickinson County at the moment. Again, we're talking about an area that's right here along Highway 18 now, mostly to the south of Manchester, and we can give the all clear. There you see the tornado warning that was originally issued for Ottawa County has just dropped off the screen. So what's our hail threat again up here in parts of Dickinson County? Again, it's fairly significant. Could be up to the size of golf balls, maybe up to 2 inches in diameter. We haven't had anything like that confirmed, but again, estimated by Doppler radar, what would we potentially be looking at? And that's what we've got for you to the northwest of Abilene. For those of you in Abilene, again, the storm is going to remain north of you. You can see how this little hook, this little appendage is showing up southwest of Manchester or near the Talmadge area. That is the radar signature there of a potential tornado as it continues to move onto the east-northeast. Eventually, within the next 20 or 30 minutes, that will be shifting out of our coverage area, and we'll be handing that off to the Topeka areas to cover that particular storm. We do have some updated information now coming in as far as the wind is concerned, just to the east of Bennington. That was kind of the original concern with this storm, was hail and wind, and there you see 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts from near the Niles area in Ottawa County, that at 9:10. So that's fairly fresh information that we're looking at there. But there is still that possibility of a potential tornado developing from this storm to the north and west of Abilene. As far as what else is happening around north central Kansas, a lot of heavy rain. We're getting some hail reports now out of the Bennington area. That was just another concern we had about 20 or 30 minutes ago. There's quarter-size hail at 8:54. Looks like we've had some other wind and hail reported with the storm near the Bennington area. There you see 60-mile-per-hour winds just before 9 o'clock this evening. So this has been a fairly healthy storm, but we still have that concern of a possible tornado just to the south of Manchester. Elsewhere around Salina County, we've got another storm that's to the south of Brookville. That may have some hail up to the size of dimes or nickels, but radar presentation is not overly spectacular there. And then further south and west, we get into this other tornado warning that continues for southern Ellsworth, northern sections of Rice County. Where is the concern? It's right there just to the southeast of the Bushton area. But this storm, like the other one up in northwest Dickinson County, we have not had any confirmation of a tornado. Here's Avenue D and 8th Road. That's where we've got the hook showing up. And if that continues to lift northeast, it's going to be close to Frederick probably within the next 10 minutes. Don't try to go out tonight and see this for yourself. Again, this could be a very dangerous storm. We're hoping that it hasn't produced a tornado. We haven't heard of anything like that so far, but this is what's happening right now in northern Rice County and southern Ellsworth County right here along Highway 4. Geneseo getting in on some rain right now. Doesn't look like the hail is probably all that significant there. Maybe pea-size at the most significant side of it there in Geneseo. But kind of expanding the view, we've got some heavy rainfall that's moving through Great Bend. Doesn't look like anything threatening as far as large hail or strong winds there. Some showers that extend back into portions of Pawnee County. And then as we look farther south and east, again around the Wichita area, things are calm for the moment. We do have those storms off to the east of El Dorado that have now moved over into Greenwood County. Looks like the core of that storm may have some hail up to the size of quarters as it passes on to the north and west of Eureka. So at the moment, we have three areas that we're watching. One of them is this storm right now to the northwest of Eureka. The other storm that we're looking at is up there in Rice in southern Ellsworth County. We've got a tornado warning there for a little while longer. And then, of course, the other storm that's up here just to the northwest of the Abilene area. Radar presentation in both locations suggesting that we've got some rotation, but we're hoping that we don't see anything develop as far as a tornado is concerned. Now, I would say of the two storms, which one has the strongest rotation? It looks to me like it's this one that's near the Talmadge area And again, the circulation is right here along Fair Road, and it looks like, well, it would be around Eden Road. There you can see Fair Road, and then would be south and east of the Manchester area, and still just west or northwest of Talmadge. So that would be along 3100 Avenue, running east and west there just to the north of Talmadge. So this storm in northern Dickinson County certainly has a stronger presentation of rotation than the storm does back to the south and west of Geneseo, but both of them continue to be dangerous thunderstorms. So 2 tornado warnings in effect at the present time. Looks like we've maybe had a wall cloud reported. Let's see if we can bring that information into view. The storm is now mostly, in fact, entirely contained in Dickinson County with respect to the rotating part of the storm, but this looks to me like maybe it was a funnel cloud report. Yes, funnel cloud at 9:10. That was reported near the Niles area. But again, that storm is now east of there, and there is no longer a threat of any kind of developing tornado near the Niles area. That, of course, back in Ottawa County. The entire circulation now is northwest of Abilene, continuing to move away from Niles, right down Highway 18 in the Talmadge area. If you're in that location, you should be finding a place of safety as this continues to be a dangerous storm. We also have severe thunderstorm warnings out for Ottawa County because the storm that's back here is still in the Bennington area, capable of some larger hail, hoping that it's no worse than quarter size. Even then, that can be a bit destructive, but that storm with the tornado warning there in northwestern sections of Dickinson County continues to mostly move on to the east and northeast at around 35 to 40 miles an hour. Radar in motion from the last hour, so you can see how this is progressing. This will remain well to the northwest of Abilene, well to the north of I-70, and eventually we'll get that storm up into portions of Clay County, and it will no longer be in our jurisdiction to continue to cover the details of that storm. Other active weather could be moving in on Salina here within the next 20 to 30 minutes. There's some heavier rainfall out near the Brookville area. There may be some small hail on that storm too. And then, of course, the tornado warning that's ongoing in northern Rice County and southern sections of Ellsworth County too. That warning, by the way, continues until 10 o'clock. But could be canceled early if we continue to see the entire storm ramping down a bit. We have not had any eyewitness accounts of a tornado with the storm. There's still just a little bit of a hook showing up along Avenue D, just to the southwest of Frederick there along 8th Road. If you're in Geneseo, you're probably getting some heavier rainfall. The hail threat's a little bit more substantial to the west of town, and that's going to be passing over Highway 14 here within the next 5 to 10 minutes. But I can tell you, kind of from a radar analysis standpoint, this storm is looking less and less likely that it's going to produce anything more than some heavy rain and some hail. But still, for the next little while, we'll continue on guard with this tornado warning up here in Rice and southern Ellsworth counties. Of course, this being the county line right here, right along Highway 4. And again, this storm, like the other one further north, continues to move on to the north and east. So that's why we're in continuous coverage. We have tornado warnings. It may not be directly impacting your area, but for those that are in the path of the storm, we want to stay on top of this sort of situation because it can change very quickly. And there's some stronger wind coming in on central Kansas right now that may keep some of these storms rotating for a little while longer. But the overall expectation is that we go later into the night, the concern of tornadoes will be ramping down. But for the moment, southern Ellsworth County, northern Rice County, continue with your tornado precautions there. And then, of course, this storm up here to the north of Abilene in the Talmadge area, that storm is straddling the Dickinson-Clay County line, and within the next 20 minutes or so should be pushing that out of our immediate coverage area as we continue to watch that storm mostly moving on to the east. Just checking some other information here. Sounds like the storm continues to move on to the north and east out of Ellsworth and Rice counties, but again, doesn't look like it's producing a tornado at the present time. So those are the areas that we continue to watch. Farther south, again around the Wichita area, what are we looking at? We don't have any storms in Sedgwick County, and even the storms that have been in Butler County have shifted on to the north and east. The warning now has been cleared, and Butler County no longer in the severe thunderstorm warning there, but we do have that ongoing warning for northwestern sections of Greenwood County with a threat of some quarter-size hail to the north of Eureka. From a statewide view of the radar, what else is coming up for the area as we go later into the night. We'll show you, and then I'll bring on the future track data so you can see for yourself what is expected to take place as we go through the next several hours. Take just a second for the data to load, but we think the greatest concentration of storms going into the overnight will be focused over most of north central and northeast Kansas. So the active weather that's happening right now up in central Kansas may continue for several more hours, and you'll see our future track here showing the storms up here in central Kansas continuing to build back through the area. So we may have a training of storms where one after another repeatedly moving over some of the same areas could yield some fairly heavy rainfall. But notice beyond midnight the active weather is favored in central and north central Kansas. But the thought as we go through the next 2 or 3 hours, the anticipation of any additional tornado warnings would be going lower and lower, but the concern of hail and high winds will likely stay with us for several more hours. So going back over to the radar, get you updated on the 2 tornado warnings ongoing. I would anticipate that even though this tornado warning for central Kansas, for Barton, for Rice and southern Ellsworth counties, even though it goes until 10 o'clock, you know, this may be becoming mostly a hail-producing storm and less in the way of a tornadic threat. But there's still a little bit of a notch that's showing up just about 3 miles back to the west of Highway 14. We'll go in a little bit closer and get some of the smaller roads and townships to show up on here. Again, this is an area that's just to the south and west of Geneseo, south of Frederick, right here along Avenue D, and there's 15th Road. It's just west of there that we're looking at that weak circulation that's showing up. And again, we have not had any confirmation of a tornado there in the northern sections of Rice County or southern Ellsworth County. There's also still some hail happening up here along Avenue W. West of Highway 14. You get into those darker shades of red here just to the north of Frederick, maybe looking at some hail up to the size of $50 with that particular storm. In fact, I think this is probably going to be more of a hail threat than it would be anything else. And expanding the view just a little bit more, again, this storm continues to move on to the north and east. Other storms that are moving in from Brookville headed for Salina. You'll likely get into some hail up to the size of dimes with this storm in western sections of Saline County. That's coming right down Old 40, potentially impacting Salina within the next 15 minutes or so. So it may get a little bit noisy in the city of Salina here shortly as that storm continues on to the north and east. We've had some pretty rough weather move through Bennington. Things are starting to calm down there, and the tornado warning now scaling it back just a little bit, but it does continue for northwestern Dickinson County for an area that's north of Talmadge, north of Highway 18. What kind of wind are we looking at as the storm gets ready to pass over Hawk Road there just northeast of Talmadge? Well, it looks to me like the circulation is going to be north of Talmadge, and that's exactly what we're seeing there. So passing right over Hawk Road, northeast of Talmadge. If you're in that area, again, remain on guard as this continues to be a dangerous storm. But it looks to me like this is mostly going to be a wind scenario that's playing out north of Highway 18. So we're going to let our viewers on KWCH return to regular programming, because in both cases it does not look like our tornado threat is as high as it was 15 or 20 minutes ago. We do continue with 12 News at 9 over on the KSCW, where we'll continue with severe weather coverage. Of course, if anything changes, we'll be back on the air.
Adobe Acrobat AI Assistant helps me build trust with the clients. With AI Assistant, I can find contract details quickly. Having all of this together helps position myself as an expert, and it gives me that confidence to talk to clients.
All right, we're coming back on the air. A little bit more severe weather information for you. The tornado warning continuing for northern Rice County and southern Ellsworth County. This looks like a fairly significant hail-producing storm right along Highway 14 and just to the north of Geneseo. That storm continues to move to the northeast. The tornado warning does continue. We've not had any reports of any funnel clouds or any tornadoes there. Also had a new tornado warning for northern Dickinson County up into southern Clay County. The storm that's straddling both of those counties right right now north and east of Talmadge, still capable of producing a funnel cloud or a possible tornado, although we have not had anything like that confirmed right here as it gets ready to pass over Highway 15. Large hail remains an ongoing threat with some wind too to the north of Chapman and to the north of Highway 18. So again, 2 tornado warnings continuing, one near Geneseo and just to the east of Frederick. That continues to be an area that we'll keep an eye out, and then other storms that we're watching off to the north of Abilene. The warning for Butler County, that was a severe thunderstorm warning, has been canceled early. We'll continue with our coverage and be back here shortly with more 12 News at 9 right after this.
Catch it.
Storms. This is a Storm Team 12 weather alert.
Now, just being issued, this is for the storm that's on top of Geneseo. It's now covering eastern Ellsworth County and northwestern sections of McPherson County over into Saline County. The storm that's near Geneseo has ramped back up in about the last 5 minutes. So again, we're dealing with a storm here that could easily be producing perhaps maybe a lowering, a wall cloud. We have not had anything like that confirmed so far, but this new tornado warning does extend over into northwestern sections of McPherson County and now eastern sections of Saline County, again continuing to be a dangerous storm as we track this on to the north and east. And the area of concern is going to be right there in and around the Geneseo area. So if you're in Geneseo or just to the north of town, right there along Highway 4, you should be sheltering from the storm. It continues to be a dangerous storm nonetheless, and that does continue to move on to the north and east, likely impacting areas from around, well, just east of Geneseo. Canopolis Lake is going to be buried up here in all of this heavy rain, and then eventually this storm is going to be over into eastern sections of Saline County, but we are picking up on a stronger circulation now right over Geneseo. So if you're in that area, again, be looking to move to a place of safety if you have not done so already. Next in line, again, will be from Geneseo on to the north and east. We're going to put a quick storm track here from the circulation northeast, tracking it at around 40 miles an hour, and we get Canero that comes up, Venango. Looks like it will pass to the northwest of Marquette and then eventually bring it up into the southwest corner of Saline County. But again, a new tornado warning just issued here for the storm that's in and around the Geneseo area, as that storm is now moving on to the northeast. We also have a tornado warning that was reissued for northern Dickinson County. That storm is passing north of Chapman, headed up toward Milford Lake. That storm capable of producing some strong wind, and that's mostly what we've had reported there. We're going to continue with our coverage here for the storm that's in and around the Geneseo area. Again, a dangerous storm that could be producing some very large hail, and also seeing possible rotation with the storm. I'm going to switch over here and show you what we're looking at here as far as the rotation is concerned with that storm in and around the Geneseo area, as we have that little notch that's showing up just above the S in Geneseo, and that is where the radar is picking up on some of that circulation that we're detecting there. Looks to me like the possible tornado now would be east of Geneseo and continuing to move away from town. There you can see we're talking about 20th Road, and certainly that would be along Avenue X and Y. Again, 20th Road and Avenue X and Y is where we're picking up on the circulation now, just northeast of Geneseo. If that storm continues to rotate as it is doing now, again, areas from Canopolis Lake south along 141 should be moving to a place of safety. That storm, again, continuing to show signs of moving on to the northeast, and the tornado warning does include areas just north of Highway 4 in eastern sections of Ellsworth County, and this would stay south of Canopolis but could impact Canopolis Lake and the southwest corner of Saline County. This, again, a dangerous storm. We have not received any confirmation from law enforcement, from any fire departments out in this area of a tornado, but this is some of the strongest indication on radar that we've had so far tonight of something that might develop out of it. We, again, of course, don't know for sure if exactly there will be a tornado with this storm, but certainly a pretty strong signature that's showing up there on radar. So if you're near Geneseo, northeast of Geneseo, over into the areas just south of Canopolis Lake. Again, we want you to be sheltered from this storm. That means getting below ground if at all possible, staying away from windows and doors, and putting as many walls between you and the approaching storm as you possibly can. But there it is. It's a circulation now that's a couple miles to the northeast of Geneseo and continuing to track on to the northeast. These storms have been moving at about 40 to 50 miles an hour, and that trend looks like it's going to hold up. So now you can see in the last 30 minutes or so, kind of ramping up a little bit more northeast of Geneseo and continuing to move on to the northeast. So again, south of Canopolis Lake, right here along 141, trying to give you as much advance notice as we possibly can as that storm continues to rotate along. Have not received any updates. Of course, I have a lot of family that live in that area. Haven't heard from anybody there. We're hoping that's no news is a good news kind of scenario. But if you're in the path of this storm, eastern Ellsworth County, southwestern Salina County, again, we want you to be ready for what could be coming your way. Let's expand the view. This is the most active weather that we have out there tonight is right here in central Kansas. And again, as we continue to effort a chance to pick up some more information on this storm, we'll be bringing that to you here shortly. Looks like the tornado warning now again over into western sections of Salina County, northwest McPherson County. This goes until 10:30 tonight. Of course, a lot can change between now and then, so we'll keep you updated on what's going on with that tornado warning. But also for those of you in northern Dickinson County, don't want to forget about the storm that's straddling the Dickinson-Clay County line. That remains to the north of Highway 18 and is making a beeline for Milford Lake. That's what you're seeing there, just to the north of Junction City. Tornado warning continues here. This to me looks like it's mostly a wind-producing storm there in northern parts of Dickinson County. That's going to pass to the north of Chapman. Meanwhile, other storms that are happening in south central Kansas, of course, we had that active weather that was to the east of El Dorado Lake. As we go back to the south, you can still see we have a warning for northern Greenwood County, but that storm north of Hamilton and moving out of our immediate coverage area looks like it has gotten a little bit weaker, and we don't foresee anything kind of redeveloping through this area here in the short term. So south central Kansas, things are relatively quiet, but most of the active weather is right up here in central Kansas, in and around the Ellsworth County area. Right into the southwest corner of Salina County. The city of Salina is not part of the tornado warning, but this is a pretty healthy thunderstorm that's been maintaining its strength now. And as we bring Geneseo back into view, you're going to see the notch that we're looking at here. This is now northeast of Geneseo, so we can give the all clear for those of you in Geneseo. But the concern now, of course, here's Avenue T. That's going to register with some in this area. There's 25th Road. To me, it looks like, as far as what kind of distance we're talking about from the city, we are, let's see, from Geneseo to the circulation about 5 to 6 miles now to the northeast of town. And so Venango, if you're not familiar, that's going to be up here at Canopolis Lake. So that's the silvery feature that's showing up there. That's Canopolis Lake. And this circulation is going to go right over the lake here within the next 10 to 15 minutes. So those in that area should be monitoring the storm very closely. Again, we have not had any eyewitness accounts out of this area of a tornado. No funnel clouds, no tornadoes, nothing like that. No reports of hail even for that matter. But this storm is certainly one that we do want to stay with for a little while longer, as this is something that's going to be moving up into Salina County here shortly. What kind of hail are we talking about? Well, moving in on Canopolis Lake, it could easily be up to golf ball size. But again, we have not had any reports of large hail with this particular storm. This is all estimated from Doppler radar, and as it continues to move to the northeast and go right over the lake, we may be picking up on some of that larger hail here shortly. When could this thing get to Salina? Well, let's take a kind of a wider view. If the storm continues to move northeast at 40, which we believe that it's doing right now, from the circulation and nearby some of that larger hail that we would be looking at, we would see it potentially reaching Salina. Let's see, we would get it into Salina at around 10:19. So we've got easily, about another 30, 45 minutes or so before it gets to Salina. But we also see Brookville in our storm track, Bavaria, Smolin at 10:11. Be ready for large hail at a minimum. We're going to hope that this storm doesn't produce a tornado, but again, we are picking up on a bit of circulation there, now inching closer to Canopolis Lake. We have not had any confirmation, no report of a tornado in and around the Geneseo area, no report of even any funnel clouds there. Not a lot of severe thunderstorms out there tonight. Again, as we take a look here at the statewide map, If you're just now joining us, we've had some tornado warnings recently issued in central and parts of north central Kansas, and that's why we're in continuous coverage. We've got that cluster of storms down near Canopolis Lake, another batch now north of Chapman, and then there's some spotty thunderstorms with hail potential now moving through the Flint Hills. But most of this stuff that's back here just to the northeast of Dodge City is not really too much that we have to be overly concerned about. Heavy rainfall and some small hail on storms that are northeast of Dodge City in northern Edwards County, up into Pawnee County, right here along 281 near Hoisington and Barton County. Some heavier rainfall, but it doesn't really look like any of this stuff is all that threatening in Barton County. Maybe some pea-sized hail and some heavier rainfall, but we're laser focused on what's happening here in Ellsworth County with this ongoing tornado warning. It does include western Salina County. The best news I can offer up here as we get in closer to 10 o'clock this evening is we've only had one report of a funnel cloud. That was near Niles in Ottawa County, and that was from easily 45 minutes ago, and no reports of any damage there. But we continue with our coverage here of the storm that still has an appendage on it. There's still some rotation that's showing up northeast of Geneseo. This is remaining south of Canopolis, but Canopolis Lake is in the path. Brookville, of course, Smolin, we just talked about that a little while ago, and it is moving northeast at a fairly good pace. If you're in this area, at a minimum, you're likely going to get hit with heavy rain, some hail. The estimated hail size, the last time we checked on that, was up to about the size of golf balls. We're still picking up on some of that right now near Canopolis Lake, and that's what you're looking at right there west of 141. So the core of this storm now moving over Canopolis Lake and continuing to go on to the north and east. Just double checking here, don't see any updated funnel clouds, no wall clouds, no tornado from this storm. But again, from a radar view, we want to continue on guard here as we're tracking the storm through eastern sections of Ellsworth County. Of course, there from a radar view, this would be wind that's blowing away from the radar. Maybe you've seen us talk about this before, but these reds and pinks, this is wind going away from the Wichita radar. The green is where it's inbound. And so that is the counterclockwise circulation that's being detected by the radar. And that's what has prompted the tornado warning. Again, that's what's got us on the air right now here as we approach 10 o'clock this evening, is this radar presentation suggesting there's enough rotation to keep the warning going. But nobody has spotted a wall cloud. Nobody has reported a funnel cloud. And of course, we have not had a tornado. Now, the original warning that was drawn up to include the Geneseo area, that will be scaled back here shortly. We can give the all clear to Geneseo. It is definitely north and east of town, moving through the Canopolis Lake area as we go in closer, just to bring some more areas into view. Okay, so there's the circulation now. Here's Canopolis Lake, and that's where the rotation is. There's Langley Point, which is going to register with those of you that are familiar with Canopolis Lake and some of the roads surrounding it. But there's 25th Road, and now the rotation is east of there. Literally, it's basically right over Canopolis Lake. And so the next locations that will be impacted will be western sections of Salina County. That will be in those areas here within the next 10 to 15 minutes. And here's, let's see, that's Sunnyside Road, and there's 30th Road, eastern sections of Ellsworth County. But again, the rotation that we're watching is right over Canopolis Lake at the moment. This storm looks a little more intense than the one does up in northeastern parts of Dickinson County. But at the present time, we continue with that rotation that's again showing up over Canopolis Lake. So tornado warning until 10:30. Again, as I mentioned a little while ago, a lot can change between now and then. If the storm ramps down, we may see the warning canceled early. But if you're in this area northwest of Marquette, if you're in those areas up around Smolin, certainly to the south of Brookville, you need to keep an eye on what's happening here. We're going to hope that the storm doesn't produce a tornado. A lot of heavy rainfall happening with the storm, which may actually be welcome news. Just what we might be looking at in terms of how heavy the rain would be in some of these locations. It's not going to stick around long enough to create a flooding concern, but as we watch the data load here, I'm going to show you just how heavy some of this rain could be right here in and around the Canopolis Lake area along Old 40. We're picking up on some rainfall that could easily be upwards of maybe 1.5 inches to 2 inches per hour. But again, this is not a storm that's going to stall out for any lengthy period of time. even though some of you would probably appreciate that and get some big rainfall out of it, this stuff is moving along at a fairly good pace. You might wind up with a half to 1 inch of rain, maybe a little more, but that's how heavy the rain is coming down. And as far as the hail goes with the storm, that's something that we've also been waiting to hear, if in fact there's been some large hail, and so far no confirmation of even that. So we've been pretty fortunate given the last 45 minutes with ongoing tornado warnings and the intensity of the storm sampled by the Doppler radar that we've had no eyewitness accounts of just how major that hail could be. But based on radar, it does appear that some of the hailstones could be up to the size of golf balls. I would doubt that's anything larger than that. But when we look at this storm, east of Ellsworth, south and east of Canopolis, again, the rotation is right over Canopolis Lake, and next in line will be areas west of Salina. That will include the Smolin area. We can certainly bring Brookville into view right here along Old 40 that goes into portions of the city of Salina. Again, this is all heavy rain, maybe some small hail. If we look further south and west, we'll find the rotation back here over Canopolis Lake. That's the little appendage that's showing up over the lake, and that will eventually be crossing over, the rotating part of the storm crossing over into western sections of Salina County. So if you're in this area, that's why we're in continuous coverage. We're just waiting to see if the storm ramps down. We hope that it doesn't ramp up, but it is maintaining its rotation. And if you're in the path of the storm, we want you to be sheltered. That means below ground. If that's not an option to you, closets, bathrooms, good places to be. Remember to cover yourself, pillows and blankets. You want to provide yourself with some cushion from stuff that can be flying around and any potential tornado that could begin to show up. Broken glass, flying debris, that's what proves to be so deadly in these kinds of situations. Anybody that's ever been through a tornado, it's always amazing to come out and find just how much broken glass can be scattered and thrown about from these kinds of events. So hopefully, we don't get a tornado out of this. We certainly started looking at this thing back when it was to the south of Ellenwood, and at no point from eastern Barton County through western Rice County up through the Frederick, Bushton area, no confirmation of a wall cloud, no funnels, no tornadoes. Let's hope that trend holds up. But again, we do have this continuing right over Canopolis Lake at the present time. Sounds like maybe we have a funnel that's being reported at the K4 and 141 junction. That would be just south of Canopolis Lake, not by more than a mile or two. So that again is right here near Canopolis Lake, where again we are hearing that there may have been a possible funnel. That is a circulation that's happening with the storm that's not connecting to the ground. There's a very distinct difference between a funnel and a tornado. By definition, a tornado is a circulation that has to extend all the way to the ground. We don't believe that has happened, but it does sound like there may have been an eyewitness account near 141 and Highway 4 of a possible funnel. So that would put it just south of Canopolis Lake. Canopolis Lake is right here. In fact, I'll circle that for you so we can have that in view. This is going to be Canopolis Lake right here, and we're talking about at the 141 Highway 4 junction, so that would be literally just a mile or two to the south of Canopolis Lake, but that is now passing over the lake and continuing to move on to the north and east. So next in line, again, would be areas north of Marquette. If you're up toward the Smolin area, what I would recommend at this point in time is just be paying attention to what's going on, because if the rotation holds up, we may see the tornado warning extended a little bit further to the north and east. And that little red icon that's now popping up on the screen, that is going to be our funnel cloud report at the Highway 4 141 junction there, just about a mile south of Canopolis Lake. So pay attention to what's going on here. That is our first funnel cloud from this particular storm, which again, as I mentioned a little while ago, started actually in eastern Barton County and has now made its way across southern Ellsworth and northern Rice counties. We have now cleared the tornado warning from the Geneseo area, but ongoing for areas in eastern sections of Ellsworth County and western Salina County. That storm, if it holds together, will eventually, we estimate it to be into Salina around 10:15, 10:20. So we still have some time to keep an eye on it in the city of Salina. But as we look back to the south and west, again, this is a pretty healthy thunderstorm that has some heavy rain, some hail, and at least now, most recently, a report of a funnel cloud there just to the south of Canopolis Lake. Let's take another look here at the statewide view, see what else is going on around parts of Kansas, because we've had a lot of active weather right through central Kansas. We've had that tornado warning north of Chapman. That's getting out of our coverage area, and the warning for northern Greenwood County is no longer in consideration at this point in time. That storm north of Eureka weakened considerably. So right here along our approaching cold front is where most, if not all, the active weather is going to continue to be over the next 4 to 6 hours. We do find some heavy rainfall, some strong thunderstorms right here from northeast of Dodge City up into Pawnee County. That extends across portions of Barton County, where some of this more active weather started a little while ago. Looks like we have some heavy rain that's passing through the Great Bend area. There's also some heavy rain on top of Ellenwood. And as we take a look here at the radar, kind of clean it up a little bit for you, we've got two areas, heavy rain on top of Great Bend. We've got some heavy rain over Ellenwood. All of this, by the way, continuing to move to the northeast. So watch the last hour. You can see how that stuff is basically coming right down Highway 156. Meanwhile, for those of you in Lyons, you've got some heavy rain west of town. That's probably never going to get there in the next 45 minutes to an hour. So things are kind of calming down through Rice County, but still very active with a lot of lightning here through south central and eastern sections of Barton County. The tornado warning that does continue up here in Saline County. As we take another look here at what's going on, this tornado warning, by the way, until 10:30. The area of concern now shifting away from Canopolis Lake, so that's mostly going to have it straddling the Saline-Ellsworth County line. We did get, if you missed it a little while ago, a funnel cloud reported just about a mile south of Canopolis Lake at the 141 Highway 4 junction, and now we're seeing that circulation right here on the county line. So it's going to pass south of Brookville. If the storm continues to produce funnels, maybe we get a tornado out of this, it will stay south of Brookville. That, of course, is some good news there. But if you're along Powers Road, if you're along Tyler Road here in the southwest corner of Saline County, you need to be moving to a place of safety if you have not done so, because this is our appendage, this is our potential funnel, if you will, that was reported near and just to the south of Canopolis Lake. Continuing to be an area of concern. One of the tools that we have available to us when we go to this product here, if there is a tornado and it's picking up debris, we should be able to sample it with the radar. And to me, I don't find any debris signatures from this viewpoint here, but it is a tool that's available to us when we get into nighttime scenarios and we're wondering whether or not, there's an actual tornado. If in fact there was, and it was picking up debris, sometimes we can actually sample that from the radar, but I'm not seeing anything like that right now. So once again, here's our area of rotation that's showing up. This is now mostly moving in on extreme western sections of Saline County. So it's now east of 30th Road in Ellsworth County. This is the county line, by the way, that darker black line. And here's, this would be Sunnyside Road. So the circulation now is north of Highway 4, along Avenue N. There's Sunnyside Road, so the circulation now looks to me like it's in Saline County, and we're still ongoing with our tornado warning until 10:30 at the present time. We'll eventually see it scaled back for Ellsworth County, as we're now mostly dealing with the possible rotation and a potential tornado here in Saline County. So eventually we'll see that scaled back for the Canopolis Lake area. Fortunately, we've had no reports of any kind of damage, whether it be from any tornadoes or any large hail, strong winds. We've had a couple instances of that, mostly up around the Ottawa County area. But here's the city of Salina. What are we talking about? What's our distance from the area of rotation to the city of Salina? It's still a lot. I mean, we're easily 18, 19 miles to the southwest of the city of Salina, and a lot can change between now and when that storm might approach the city of Salina. So for those of you in the city, I would say just continue to be on guard, stay with us, continue to monitor the situation. But this storm could very easily ramp down, could ramp up, but I don't see that happening at the moment. So between now and when the storm approaches Salina, again, things can change quite drastically. But there we get a new scan on the radar, and you can see from Brookville south, we're easily 8 to 9 miles south of town where we're picking up on that rotating part of the storm. We're coming up on 12 News at 10 o'clock, which of course we're going to be front and center on this tornado warning that's ongoing in Saline County. There's not a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings out there tonight, but the ones that we have are pretty impactful. And so we've got this ongoing tornado warning right now in Salina County. We also have continuing to look at this storm back through the Bushton area into eastern sections of Barton County. Sounds like there are some spotters reporting that there may be a tornado just east of Canopolis Lake, which would be fitting for what we're seeing here on the radar. So the tornado warning going to remain up for Salina County, no doubt about that. But you can see the storm covering across most of western Salina County. Severe thunderstorm warnings up for eastern Ottawa County. And then this tornado warning now up here in Clay County. Again, that's going to be covered by the Topeka TV station. So we're going to continue with our main focus right here in Salina County. We do have this storm that continues to show some healthy rotation. I don't know if I would consider it absolute strongest that I've seen so far tonight, but if you're south of Brookville, north of Highway 4, you should remain sheltered from the storm, and it does continue to show signs of moving to the northeast, heading into the Smolin area. If the rotation holds up, we could potentially see the tornado warning extended to include the city of Salina. We'll say goodbye to the viewers on KSCW and pause momentarily as we start 12 News at 10.
At Del Webb, there's a lot to say yes to, especially when you can do whatever you want. From enjoying your favorite ways to move, to feeling restored on the walking trails, pocket parks, and community gardens. Plus, with innovative floor plans, homes are built for how you want to live. There's no better time to start living your way. So what are you waiting for? Say yes to Del Webb.
We do want to mention in Salina, you've got
on to the north and east, and if you're in the Smolin area, if you're to the southwest of Salina, south of Brookville, of course, here's Sunnyside Road, and we're also showing there's a Fallon Road there, a fallen road that you definitely want to be sheltering from the storm. Of course, there's Smolin. So those of you that live in western Salina County, these are probably registering with you. If you're in the city of Salina, what I would suggest at this point in time, be thinking about what you would need to do, where you would go, the things that you would pack with you if you were to shelter from the storm. But it looks to me like the rotation is weakening a bit here in western portions of Salina County. As we take another sample here at the radar presentation, it's starting to expand over a larger area. When rotation starts to stretch out over 4, 5, even 6 miles, the concern maybe of an ongoing tornado threat does begin to ramp down, but there is still obviously an area that we continue to look at there in western sections of Salina County. Looks like they're going to continue with the tornado warning for a little while longer here in western sections of Salina County. It goes right up to Smolin. The areas that we're looking at here, this is there's Sundgren Road north of Highway 4 here in the southwest corner of Salina County. So you know exactly the areas that we're talking about. It's city of Salina up here, Smolin west of there, that you would need to be sheltered from this particular storm. It's going to remain south of Brookville. We definitely know that. It looks like it's going to remain south of 140 there, going into the city of Salina. So if you're in the path of the storm, the best thing you can do is find shelter below ground. Most Kansans are well aware of that, but if that underground shelter is not available to you, you want to seek shelter in a closet, a bathroom. You want to put as many walls between you and the approaching storm as you possibly can, because each wall is just another layer of protection from something that can be flying around in a storm, in a tornado. We're going to hope that the storm continues to be on a weakening trend, but we want to continue with our guard up here on this storm in western sections of Salina County. Now looks like the tornado warning will be scaled back for Ellsworth County here shortly. This marker that has just popped up on the screen is because it sounds like there was an eyewitness account of a tornado, and that would be just in and around or maybe east of Canopolis Lake as we see it now. It's labeled as Brookville, but we know this is actually just east of Canopolis Lake, that at 9:53. So this perhaps our first confirmed tornado of the evening happening here just east of Canopolis Lake. I'm going to bring that into view so you can see exactly what we're talking about. But there's Canopolis Lake and the state park, and there's the confirmed tornado, which would be right there along 141, or basically north of the Canopolis Lake Dam. And now this has moved over into Salina County. So we can give the all clear to Canopolis Lake. Of course, our news department will be efforting a chance to find out if there's been any damage at all. We may not know about it just yet, because obviously we'll be waiting for Ellsworth County Sheriff maybe to get out there and do some assessment. we don't know. I mean, speculating that there would be damage there would be just that. It would be speculation at this point in time. But as we continue with what's happening at the moment, we've got a pretty intense thunderstorm that's now moving in on Salina. Of course, there's no tornado threat in Salina at the present time. But looking at the signature that's showing up on radar, we're still thinking there's enough concern here to keep up our guard for a little while longer. There's also a hail and wind threat that's ongoing with this storm too. As far as what the hail might be, this has dropped off in about the last 10 to 15 minutes. We were seeing estimated hail size up to about golf balls, and now with the storm near Brookville, looks to me like we're down closer to maybe quarters to ping pong ball size. But I will say, in tracking this storm from Barton County all the way across Rice and Ellsworth counties, at no point have we had any significant hail reported with the storm. This has been basically a rotating storm that has produced at least one funnel cloud that was reported north and east of Geneseo, and then we got our first confirmed tornado report that came in from just northeast of Canopolis Lake, and now that storm is all but contained now in western sections of Salina County. So let's take a look here at the last hour playing through so you can kind of watch. You can see that storm is basically on a beeline for the city of Salina, but a lot can change between now and the actual rotating part of the storm as it approaches Salina. So, you know, what are the chances that Salina has a tornado tonight? Right now, I would say it's fairly low, but we're going to continue to see if the weakening trend continues to hold up. I haven't let's take a look and another look here at the rotation within the storm, and it's fairly broad. I mean, it looks to me like it's kind of spanning out over a larger distance. But now, given the history of the fact that this storm did produce a tornado, we might see just a brief extension of the tornado warning, which would include the city of Salina. This is using the Wichita radar. This would be wind that's blowing away from Wichita. Green would be inbound or back in toward the Wichita radar, and you can see how this kind of fans out over a larger area. But there is still something in there that's maybe a little bit of concern, which may be why we have a local extension here of the tornado warning. Here's Tyler Road, here's Parsons Road. It's going to be east of there. Let's see, we have Cooley Road. And so some of you that live in this area are going to know exactly what we're talking about, but the city of Salina is off the screen. So we're looking at, we're really zoomed in here to try to get a finer detail of what exactly is taking place. And that rotation, to me, looks like it has started to fan out over a larger distance. But now, given that we've had a confirmed, at least brief tornado by the sound of it, off to the northeast of Canopolis Lake, and now again this storm is passing south of Brookville, so no concern there. But of course the city of Salina certainly would be getting our attention if the storm does continue on this particular path. I mean, watch for yourself, and I'll try to highlight the circulation. There it is, now kind of working its way in closer to Smolin. So if you're in Smolin, you know, what's the best advice we can give you? That would be finding shelter below ground. Small interior rooms, closets, bathrooms, all good places to be. Remember to put on a pair of shoes. You want to be prepared for, you know, the absolute worst, but in this kind of situation, you know, we're certainly hoping for the best here, that we don't have any further funnel clouds or tornadoes produced out of the storm. But it's getting a little close to Smolin, uncomfortably close to Smolin, and then of course the city of Salina would be next. You've probably got, based on how fast this thing is moving, easily 15 or 20 minutes before the circulation or the rotating part of the storm would be in to the city of Salina. So you still have ample time to prepare if in fact the storm does continue on that particular path. You can see the circulation. Now we're using Topeka. So let's bring you up to the current time. So this would be wind that's blowing in toward the Topeka radar, which is actually west of Topeka, and then the red would be away. So the circulation is right there. It's kind of fanning out over maybe a 4 to 5 mile span. And so when that rotation starts to fan out over a larger area, you start to think that maybe the chances of a tornado are dwindling a bit. But given the history and the most recent report, again, that we did have a tornado just to the northeast of Canopolis Lake back here in Ellsworth County, one would potentially wonder if maybe we'll continue to see this tornado warning extended a little bit further north and east, which of course again would include the city of Salina. There's not a lot of other storms out there to cover tonight. While we pause for just a moment here, I want to show you what else is happening around the state of Kansas, because we do have other thunderstorms that are kind of flaring up along a front that extend back toward the Grape Bend area. If you're west of Dodge, if you're west of Hayes, you're in the clear for the rest of the night. We do have the active severe thunderstorm warnings off to the north and east of Salina, but really kind of honing in on what's happening here in central Kansas because the storms are, again, festering right here along an approaching cold front. There's our tornado warning in Salina County. You can see what looks to be some heavy rain, perhaps some small hail on these storms back through portions of Ellsworth County and western sections of Rice County. We go in a little closer here to find some active weather from just south of Ellsworth back through the Lorain area, Holyrood, Bushton, just to the north and west of Chase. As we bring on, let me kind of clear this up a little bit more so we get a little bit better detail on what's happening with these storms. You can see that we are still potentially getting some nickel-sized hail on this storm that's now to the south of Bushton in western Rice County. It extends back through the Ellenwood area. You've got some heavy rain on top of Claflin and just to the northeast of Cheyenne Bottoms. Once again, over the last hour, how does the radar presentation look? Well, notice you've got one storm and then it's quickly followed by another one that's coming in from behind it. So in this kind of environment, it's certainly looking like we're going to have a training of storms that can sometimes yield some pretty big rainfall. Sounds like we are going to have an extension of the tornado warning, which will include the city of Salina. That's coming down here shortly. Again, what we've been telling you is that given the history of the storm as it has been working its way across Ellsworth County and that brief tornado that was reported to the northeast of Canopolis Lake, now why we've seen this local extension here of the tornado warning, it does now include the city of Salina. So in this kind of situation, you know, when you get into a populated area like this, you've got nursing homes, you've got hospitals that start to respond to this sort of thing. And again, what we can tell you right now is that as the storm comes in on Salina, we don't have confirmation of a tornado. This is based on radar presentation. But if you're in the city of Salina and if you're northeast of there up toward the New Cambria area, we want you to be sheltered from the storm. Let's go up to the current time here and we'll go in even closer. We told you a little while ago, you had about 15 or 20 minutes to prepare for the storm in the city of Salina. Of course, there's Solomon, so New Cambria, city of Salina. Where is the area of concern? It's still back to the southwest of town. Of course, this is going to pass over the Salina airport as it comes in on the west side of the city. And still looks like there's a capability of the storm producing a tornado. So let's take another look here at the radar presentation. And at this part of the state, we're more than likely going to be using the Topeka radar to get an idea of where the rotation is showing up. And it, again, kind of fanning out over a bit larger distance, but that doesn't necessarily mean we couldn't still get a tornado. The area that I would say of concern right now is south of 140 and in and around the Smolin area. It has not quite reached the city of Salina yet, but it should be there within the next 10-15 minutes or so. We've had no eyewitness accounts since we had that brief tornado reported northeast of Canopolis Lake. And again, that storm is preparing to move through the city of Salina. So now, based on this new bit of radar imagery that we're picking up just to the west of Smolin, let's go in, bring up some smaller roads that are going to pop into view here. We're looking at south of Bavaria, south of 140 here. This is going to be, let's see, just to the west of Muir Road and west of Smolin. That's going to be the Wichita radar, so let's go ahead and go back out just a little bit more here. I'd like to keep the Topeka radar on this particular storm, but it looks to me like it's just to the west of Smolin by about 2 to 3 miles. And based on how this storm is progressing, you're going to see it here. So there's the circulation south of Bavaria. And if we bring that straight in, I mean, this thing is on a beeline to go right across the city of Salina. So if you're in Salina, the tornado sirens may be sounding. Can be a little unnerving at this time of the day. Of course, it's nighttime and you don't really get that opportunity to look out your window, not something that we recommend you do anyway. But as Kansans, of course, we all want to see what's taking place in our immediate location. But nighttime, you know, we don't know exactly if the storm's going to produce a tornado or not, but we want you to be sheltered if in case the storm does put down a tornado as it passes over the city of Salina. And we don't know for sure if that's necessarily going to be the case. You know, we want you to be below ground. We want you potentially under something sturdy to protect yourself from heavy objects that can fall from above. You'll want to wrap yourself up in pillows and blankets, and you want to remain sheltered until the storm has passed overhead. If you're in a mobile home park, can be a little bit of a sensitive subject, but if you're in a mobile home park and you have a designated storm shelter, go there. But as a last resort, don't try to ride out a tornado in a mobile home. They're not safe places to be. Time and time again, we see these kinds of events, and if a tornado actually does come out of the storm and it goes through a mobile home area, sadly, sometimes we see fatalities in those areas. So don't try to ride out a tornado in a mobile home area. Go to a designated storm shelter, and at a last resort, I know this sounds like the most ridiculous thing ever, but a ditch can sometimes be a safer place to be than trying to stay in a mobile home. You want to think about all the stuff that can be flying around in these kinds of situations, and so that's why we tell you to wrap yourself up in pillows and blankets and put as many walls between you and the approaching storm as you possibly can. A pair of shoes to protect your feet if you were to come out and find broken glass, debris, lots of little things to think about. Bottled water. Take a whistle with you if you were to be trapped in debris. If you had a whistle and could get the attention of first responders, that is something that you want to be thinking about. Again, that's kind of the worst case scenario. In this situation, we're going to hope that maybe we don't even get a funnel cloud. Maybe we don't even have a wall cloud with it. But this radar presentation showing now the circulation is just to the northwest of Smolin. And if you watch the presentation there, if that thing continues on the path that it is now, it's going to go right across the city of Salina, and more specifically, it looks to me like maybe from downtown to the south edge of Salina. So we're starting to see the radar ramp up a little bit more. And just checking here, sounds like spotters are reporting a tornado just to the north of Smolin. So we may continue with, you know, a tornado. Sounds like spotters in that area may have something. I mentioned a little while ago, we get the opportunity to show you this product, and it's very useful in nighttime tornadoes, because if a tornado is actually in progress and it's picking up debris, if it gets lofted high enough into the air, sometimes the radar will actually sample it and tell us that's not a meteorological target, you know, that's not a raindrop, that's not a hailstone, that's actually a non-meteorological target, and that would show up as a very small blue circular feature that we might see on radar, but it would have to be right in this area along Waterwell Road, and I don't see that at the moment, so I can't say with any amount of certainty that in fact we would have a, you know, tornado debris signature. I just don't see that here at the moment. But again, using the radar, as we rely so much on this time of the year when we've got a tornado warning, and this of course does include the city of Salina, we want you to be sheltered from the storm. Let's go in a little bit closer here because the radar presentation is looking a little bit more defined now, and we're talking about Halstead Road and Waterwell Road. That is right where we have the strongest circulation. So it's now south and east of Bavaria, and I think we can more than likely give the all clear to Bavaria. But if you're in this area just to the southwest of Salina, so this is going to include the airport, it looks like we've got maybe Crawford Street. So here's Highway 140, and there's Crawford Street, so we're south of there. Again, right along Waterwell Road, there's Schilling Road, there's South Burma Road. The circulation is now, looks like it's about 3 miles just to the southwest of the city of Salina. So if you're in Salina, you know, we can't stress it enough, especially on the south edge of Salina. That is where the radar suggestion, the presentation, looks most concerning for this ongoing threat that we may have of a tornado in and around Salina. Back the view out here. Again, obviously we're kind of laser focused on the city of Salina at the moment because the circulation is coming in on town. But downstream would be New Cambria up here at the top part of your screen, eventually over toward the Solomon area. That would of course easily be 20-30 minutes away. And spotters in this area, you know, they're suggesting to us that there may be a tornado with the storm. We're going to hope that that's maybe they saw a scary looking cloud and that there's not a tornado. But this radar presentation that we're looking at here just to the southwest of Salina has been getting a little bit better definition to it. So we're still west of 135 and still to the southwest of the city of Salina. So again, let's go in and bring on some of these smaller smaller roads to help you figure out exactly where this thing might be. So there's Schilling Road and there's Waterwell Road. Based on radar here, looks like it may be just to the north of that location. But if you're along 135 or just west of there, that could very easily be where the tornado is at the moment. And it does continue to show a movement off to the north and east at around 30 to 35 miles an hour. Again, chasers and spotters in this area suggesting that there may be a tornado happening just to the west of the city of Salina. So a lot of interest in what's happening there at the present time. We just got a new warning. This is a severe thunderstorm warning back here in parts of Ellsworth County. We're going to come right back to that Salina tornado warning here in just a second, but wanted to let you know what's behind it. Again, there's the confirmed tornado near Canopolis Lake. That is why we're ongoing with this concern of a tornado up there in the Salina area, but we do have more hail and significant weather happening back there in Ellsworth County. So let's go back in on the city of Salina. You should be sheltered in Salina, okay? That's, the safest way to get through the storm. This marker that's showing up north of Smolin, that's what we were telling you just a little while ago. That sounds like it was an eyewitness account of a tornado. And now the circulation, the notch, if you will, two areas of interest to me. We've got one of them over Salina, another one that's still back here to the southwest of town. Both of them areas of concern. But when we switch over into the wind mode of radar, we're using Topeka to sample this storm. And so what we're looking at here, this is wind coming in toward the Topeka radar, which is actually up near Alma, Kansas. And then this would be wind that's blowing away. And that circulation right now is on the west side of Salina. If you're in Salina, you need to be in a safe place. Sometimes we can just kind of watch the storm and wait and see. But in this situation tonight, given that we've had a tornado reported near the Smolin area, you need to be below ground to ride out the storm. Just in case there's an ongoing tornado threat in the city of Salina, we want you to be below ground. Again, if that is not an option that's available to you, you'll find sufficient protection by seeking shelter in a bathroom, closet. Put as many walls between you and the approaching storm as you can. Remember, and oftentimes when we go out and we talk to school kids, they're well aware of the fact that being away from windows and doors is some of the best advice that we can hand out. So again, the tornado warning continuing for the city of Salina. The circulation there is pretty well defined. We've been watching this storm now for the better part of at least an hour and a half to 2 hours. This is the same storm that actually started back in eastern sections of Barton County and has now made its way and now making its way into the western side of Salina. So if you're in the city of Salina, we hope that you've had enough time to shelter from this storm, because again, the circulation that we're looking at is right there getting ready to move across the city, and tornado warnings continue. I'm sure the sirens have already been going off, but now we're talking about areas right here along 135. There's Crawford Street. This is going to register with a lot of people that are familiar with the city of Salina. That's one of the main exits there off of 135 to come into the city of Salina. And now we've got, of course, the circulation that's passing right over the city. Let's go back and take another look here. Okay, so it sounds to me like we've got a confirmed tornado now on the west side of Salina. We back the radar out again. We're looking at here as we're trying to see if there's any kind of debris that may be lofted by the tornado. And again, I'm not seeing anything here suggesting to me that we've got a debris signature showing up. But when we go back over into the wind mode of radar, it definitely looks to me like it's right here now on the west side of Salina and working its way across town. So if you're in Salina, again, we can't stress it enough. Time's kind of running out to find shelter from this storm. It looks like the circulation is right here over 9th Street. And there's Republic Avenue, there's Ohio Street, Crawford Street. It's south of Crawford Street that we're picking up on the circulation, and it's now east of 135, east of Centennial Road. So again, we're kind of getting into the heart of Salina, and this thing does continue, at least from a radar presentation, continues to show some pretty significant signs of rotation. I'm just stepping out of view here shortly. I want to check another radar source to see if we've got any kinds of debris that might be better depicted. Stand by here for just a second. Not seeing anything different from what we've been able to show you here on the air. But again, you can't miss it. So using the Topeka radar, which again is behind me, this would be wind blowing away. This is wind coming in, and that circulation here is going right over the city of Salina. So you should be in a safe place at once as this continues to be a very dangerous storm. Nighttime tornadoes, you know, we talk about it from time to time. We don't see a lot of them, but they do happen. And of course, at this time of the day, the pictures, the video, not always there. So we basically rely almost 100% on Doppler radar. But of course, this is a populated area. And over about the last 8-10 minutes or so, we've been getting these sporadic reports of a tornado in the city of Salina. We don't have confirmation of damage yet. It's still early on. We still have an ongoing tornado in the city at the moment. And a tornado warning does continue. Should be sheltered in this location too. Again, this is a very dangerous storm that's now passing over the city of Salina. It's getting kind of late now to find shelter, but if you haven't done so already, remember getting below ground is the safest bet. If that's not an option to you, bathrooms and closets, good places to go. Wrap yourself up in pillows and blankets to protect yourself from anything that can be flying around. So radar, and again, we've been stuck on this image for quite some time. Let's go back over and show you what the regular mode of radar looks like in terms of the heavy rain and the hail. And there's the notch. So this would be wind that's coming into the storm. This is where it's wrapping around on the backside. So where's the tornado in this presentation? It's east of 135. It's going to be right here along Ohio Street, along Crawford Street. That intersection there around Ohio and Crawford, to me, is one of the ground zero locations for the potential tornado. And again, based on information that we have seen so far that's just kind of trickling in, it does sound like there has been at least some tornadic development in the city of Salina. To what extent the damage is going to be, we simply don't know. How big is the tornado? No idea. I mean, we hope that everybody is sheltered from the storm and that nobody in the city of Salina sustains any significant injuries. We certainly hope there are no fatalities in this kind of situation, but this is an ongoing and emergency situation here in the city of Salina with a radar presentation showing us right here along Ohio Street and Crawford Street. That's a pretty strong signature where you've got wind going away from the radar, wind coming in toward the radar, and boy, this is right here in the heart of Salina, continuing to move on to the east. Our news crews, of course, will be efforting to check in with emergency managers up in the city of Salina to try to find out some information for you. But at this point in time, we're still very much in a fluid situation where everything is happening. And within the next 15 or 20 minutes, we're going to see the storm get east of Salina, and we might be able to offer up some more information as to what may have taken place in the city of Salina. But again, this is just an ongoing emergency situation here in the city of Salina with a potential tornado that is perhaps making its way right through the city of Salina. So there it is. And again, something that we don't often use very much on television, but in an emergency situation like this where we may have a tornado in a populated area, we would be looking for a signature right here along Crawford and Ohio Street. If there is a signature of debris, I can't say with a high level of certainty that that's what we're seeing right there. But again, we'll be continuing to check this particular product. It's just another tool that's available at our disposal to try to figure out if there's a tornado, if it's picking up debris, the radar beam goes out and it says, now wait a minute, that's not a hailstone, that's not a raindrop, it's basically a non-meteorological target. And when that comes back to the radar, it has a different presentation than anything else that you'll see when we're in these kinds of modes showing you what's happening. So who's next in line? Because for those of you in New Cambria, Smolin, you're probably wondering, well, am I in the path? Well, there's New Cambria. You should be sheltered if you're in New Cambria. Here's Solomon. You're kind of on the eastern fringe of the tornado warning. As this thing continues to come from the city of Salina and go right down Old Highway 40, a lot of you that live in this area are going to be familiar with exactly what we're talking about. From New Cambria to Solomon, you need to be finding shelter from the storm. We're trying to give you as much advance notice as we possibly can that the storm sounds like it has produced a tornado in the city of Salina. We have no reports, to my knowledge, of any damage from the city of Salina. Maybe there's no widespread damage at all. We don't know at this point in time. And of course, time of day. and the fact that we're still in an ongoing tornado situation, we may not know that for several more minutes to come. We do have an extension of the tornado warning now into Dickinson County. Abilene, you fall into this tornado warning as well. Areas to the west of town, part of this tornado warning, and you can see just from this vantage point here, this is what we're talking about. Now, just getting out of Salina, if that thing continues to move northeast, which we believe it will, hopefully it will ramp down here shortly, but notice as that thing continues to move northeast, New Cambria, Solomon, you're next in line, western sections of Dickinson County, just trying to give you a little bit of an advanced notice here that this storm is coming your way. Maybe by the time it gets to New Cambria or Solomon, it's just going to be a wind scenario, but this is an ongoing tornado threat that's happening now just to the northeast of Salina and working its way onto the north and east. Let's go right up to the current time here, and we'll be able to put a storm track. Again, it's getting uncomfortably close to New Cambria. As far as what the estimated arrival time is going to be, let's see, from the circulation tracking it northeast, we'll say 30 miles an hour. That's been about the average speed over the last hour. So New Cambria at 10:32, Solomon at 10:47, and Talmadge at 11:06. Interestingly enough, Talmadge was kind of one of the towns that we were looking at a little while ago from a storm that went through the northwest section of Dickinson County, but now we're kind of back in the path of something that's coming from the city of Salina. Let's go back in, kind of show you what the regular radar presentation is looking like, and you can see the outline of the tornado warning. It does include a southeast sliver here of Ottawa County and western Dickinson County. Abilene, you're technically in the tornado warning, but a lot can change between now and when the storm arrives into the city of Abilene. It may actually pass just to the northwest of Abilene, so we'll continue to see what's happening there. Just kind of checking in on the information that steadily streams in here into the storm center. Doesn't sound like there's been any spotter reports in the last few minutes of additional tornadoes as the storm comes out of Salina. That's obviously some good news, but you can still see there is a little bit of an appendage there to the north and east of Salina, which would be a bit of a concern as it works its way down Highway 40 and eventually moving in on New Cambria. So in New Cambria, you only have about 4 or 5 more minutes until the rotating part of the storm comes in on you. And we've also got that continuing down Highway 40, which would eventually bring it into the Solomon area. We don't know if the storm's still going to be capable of a tornado when it approaches northwest Dickinson County, but just kind of in preparation for the fact that it doesn't weaken, we want everybody in western Dickinson County to be prepared. The city of Salina is still very much in an active scenario here with heavy rain. There may still be some hail falling in Salina. The rotating part of the storm, and if there's still a tornado with it, it's now, to me, it looks like it's northeast of the city of Salina, but there's still some active weather that extends back into those areas around Bavaria and just to the north of Smolin. This has been an ongoing situation now for many minutes. I do want to update you on what's happening back to the west because we've got more active weather coming across Ellsworth County. There you can see this tornado report was northeast of Canopolis Lake. There was a funnel cloud south of Canopolis Lake. That is from the storm that is now just to the northeast of Salina. There's a hail threat with this storm in Ellsworth County. Could potentially be larger than quarter size. We did get a hail report from the Bushton area. Bring you up to date on what's happening there. Quarter size hail in Bushton at 10:20. The core of that storm looks like it's going to remain just to the south of Ellsworth, but heads up along Highway 14. Certainly from Lorain up to Holyrood, right in on the city of Canopolis. Any of this activity here in Ellsworth County could still be producing some very large hail that may be potentially up to the size of ping pong or golf ball size there in Ellsworth County. If we go back to the south and west, again, we've got some more active weather that extends back into Barton County. Severe thunderstorm warnings continue in and around the Great Bend area. Doesn't look like any of this is rotating, by the way. We've got some heavy rain that's north of Ellenwood up in the Cheyenne Bottoms area, and this active weather extends all the way back into Pawnee County, where a severe thunderstorm warning is out in the Larned area for the potential of some hail kind of right here along this area on Highway 56 across northern Edwards County up into Pawnee County. That extends right through the heart of Great Bend. Any of these storms right here across Pawnee and Barton County could have some hail, quarter size, maybe at the largest $half or ping pong ball size, but not sure that it would be much larger than that. Go up to the current time here. Let's take another look at what's happening kind of from a wider perspective on these storms right through central sections of Kansas. And we've had a lot of active weather in the city of Salina. We still have not received any reports of damage from the city of Salina. So our fingers are crossed that this turns out to be something that wasn't necessarily as bad as it could have been. We are hearing, and I do want to check here on some rotation that may be happening up here in the Ellsworth County vicinity. It looks like there's a little bit of rotation that's showing up just to the south of the city of Canopolis. Not sure that that would prompt a tornado warning or not, but we're looking at an area here. Again, there's the city of Ellsworth, there's Canero, Canopolis right here, just to the southeast of Ellsworth. So south of Canopolis here, and east of Highway 14, it looks like there is some weak rotation that's showing up back to the west of Canopolis Lake. This is a little bit further north than our previous storm had turned out to be. So let's show from the rotation over to Canopolis Lake. We're about 8 miles west of there. Again, this is not a confirmed tornado. This is a radar presentation showing us that there may in fact be some rotation happening there east of Highway 14. So let's keep an eye on that as it continues to move on to the northeast. For those of you in New Cambria, probably a little bit concerned because you've had a storm coming in on your area that has a history of producing at least a brief tornado. The tornado warning does continue for areas just north and east of Salina, and we want you to remain in shelter if you're in New Cambria, if you're in Solomon. We're still picking up on a signature very close to New Cambria here. This is wind blowing away from the radar, the greens inbound. So the circulation now coming over New Cambria, where again we may have a possible funnel, possible tornado. We don't know. We're simply using the wind mode of radar to figure out what the location is. But pictures, videos, eyewitness accounts are just not there at this time of night. And so we rely on Doppler radar to give us a better sampling of what's happening. But there's Highway 40 and Solomon's going to be next in line. So if you're in Solomon, safest option would be getting below ground and sheltering as the storm approaches. Again, bathrooms, closets, good places to be. Wrap yourself up in pillows and blankets to protect from anything that could be flying around. It looks like now the rotation is on Niles Road and right there along I-70. So we're just a little bit northeast of the city of New Cambria and continuing to go on to the north and east. This tornado warning continuing for Salina County, but as we told you a little while ago, it's now been pushed further north and east up into Dickinson County. Does include a small part of Ottawa County. So Solomon, of course, Abilene over here showing up right there along I-70. It looks to me like the circulation is going to pass north of Abilene. That would be some good news. This is Abilene right here.